Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week and tries to figure out whether that's where you should spend your money or whether you should spend your money at home on your sofa. Big stream or big screen? That is the question.
Let's get ready to rumble!
My name is Tosin and I am the host, and I am based up in the middle of the United Kingdom, a place called Bromsgrove near Birmingham. Joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sharon Bollen.
Hello.
Our resident literary expert, shall we say, which is, I think I'd say that you're having a little bit of fun at the moment. I think that there's a quiet, tiny bit of you that is just loving this whole Wuthering Heights, this whole Wuthering Heights furore. I mean, I haven't seen anything this joyous since Persuasion, since Netflix did the version of Persuasion, because that was glorious. I found out about a whole new area of the internet I did not know existed when that happened. But also joining us is our London correspondent, who is, I mean, you are quite literary as well. I mean, you are fully dining at the table of this Wuthering Heights controversy pylon. But but I think you are definitely more the, if there's something rubbish, I will watch it. And yeah. Hey, Holly, all of a sudden I can't hear you.
Oh, that's probably because I was muttering.
Okay, cool. Cool, good stuff. All right, so it's Holly Neslane, our London correspondent. Yes, and yes, you join us in a week in which there's a lot of stuff in cinemas. I mean, I actually because I sent you guys a message earlier this week because I was going because I tend not to look ahead to one because I get to watch one film a week. I get to watch one film in the cinema a week, sometimes two if I'm lucky and my wife gets home early. I would get to watch two. So I just tend to wait until the Monday, look up and say, okay, what's on, or maybe even Tuesday morning, what can I watch later today? Because Tuesday is my cinema day. And I came across just a whole bunch of films and I was like, good Lord. Because in the cinema this week, we have Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, The Moment, Waste Man, Crime 101, Cold Storage, and Goat. Were all films that were in cinemas this week. And I was like, what happened? They just sort of stored everything up and brought them all. And one thing I noticed about this is that none of them is a sequel. None of them that I can see is based on a pre-existing IP. These are all, for want of a better word, original films, all arriving at the same week in cinemas. And I was kind of like, on the one hand, great, yeah, that's good, because we've been complaining that people have been complaining that there's too many sequels and everything like that, and it's good to have this back. On the other hand, why are you all in the same week? Because you are not going to be around for more than 2 weeks, which means I'm not going to get to see most of these films at the cinema when I can only see one film a week. So I mean, Sean, on the other hand, Sean, who is our fourth member, who is not here at the moment because he is probably still in the beach in Thailand. So it's like Sean is the one who would be like, yep, this is it. And he would probably watch all of those. But yeah, come on, guys. I'm happy that there's these many films out there. I'm happy that there's this much choice. But spread it out a bit, man. Give me a chance to watch them.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of these films are going to be here that long.
No, I'm going to try to watch Cold Storage. I think that's on my radar. I think the trailer looked quite fun, so I think, I might try to watch that one.
That was high on my list. It was really high on my list because it's got Liam Neeson in it, but not as the main guy. So it doesn't come across like a Jerry action thing. He's third billed in this film. And that makes me think, okay, this could be fun. This could be. Yeah, exactly. I can't remember who's got it's got what's his name, Joe Carey from Stranger Things. He's the main person in it. So there's a lot of stuff in the cinema. So if you're listening to this at some point, please do go to the cinema. There's a lot of new stuff out there. Go watch it, and maybe you can tell us what it is, because God knows we don't have enough eyeballs or time to watch them all in a week. So yes, but anyway, having said that, what have we seen? I think this is going to drive home my point. What have we seen in the cinemas this week? Sharon?
I haven't made it to the cinema this week.
Yep, my point. Holly? Nope, nothing. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I've made it to the cinema this week, and out of all those, I went to see, out of the sort of dartboard that I could throw darts at to figure out which one I could go to, I went to see Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. So if nothing else, because I love the title and everything I saw about this film made me think this is my kind of thing.
I
All
often
right.
find with films it's timings. I mean,
Yes,
'cause
that
I'm
is one of the big
working.
problems with cinema. Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm working at the beginning, the first half of the week, I work, and I think I just can't justify going to the cinema at 8:30 of an evening, knowing that the film won't be starting till gone 9, and then it's like it's a school night,
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, sometimes I think, oh, I'll go. What's on a Tuesday? I think what's on a Tuesday, and they're either on at 5, which is I work till 5:30, and or they're like stupid o'clock. I think, come on, start at 7 o'clock, please.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I find that what ends up happening is that I actually, yeah, I'm often closing down the cinema when I leave. like when I leave, I'm often kind of the last one in there. And if I forgot to tell her about the podcast, but there was a lady in the Omniplex in Great Park in Birmingham who she sees me every week, and so she actually told me, "Oh, you won't see me next week. It's my last day." So, Michelle, if by somehow you manage to get this and the algorithm finds you and everything like that, just wanted to say, Michelle, thank you. You were a very, very smiley face at the cinema each time when I showed up. Hope you have fun and enjoy your next job as you're going on, which is apparently, she said, a nice 9 to 5 desk job, so she doesn't have to, essentially, as you said, Sharon, be out
Yeah.
until 10 past until past 10, because after I leave the cinema at 10 past or half past 10, she probably still has to clean the place up before going home. So I agree with you. The timings is a problem, especially because people have forgotten how to make 90-minute movies.
Yeah. And I've noticed, I don't know if it's just our cinema, but I imagine it's universal. Um, the filler that you get before the actual film gets
Mm.
longer and longer. It used to be you could probably rely on 10, 15-minute trailers, adverts. You still got time to go and buy a Coke, that sort of thing. I've noticed lately it's sometimes it can be half an hour of the gump before you can actually. It's like, come on, get on with the film.
25 minutes, I find. 23 to 25 was at least previously was the standard in Odeon.
Okay, well, the Omniplex in Great Park, Birmingham, that is 15 on the dot. It's
Really?
I know because I started out like let's put it this way. I because it's about 15 minutes from my house, and I tend to leave when the film's advertised to start because I'm like I don't have time to get. I'd rather spend time with my family than catch all this sort of like stuff that I can see online anyway. So but it's been. Essentially, I've been missing the beginning of films for quite a while because they seem to be very regimented with the 15 minutes, then the film starts. And I'm like, okay, cool, I think I missed the beginning. Okay, cool, I think I missed about... So usually when they come on streaming, there's been quite a few films I've gone back when they go on streaming and go, right, cool, how much did I miss?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes.
15
Yeah,
minutes.
Wuthering Heights was half an hour because we
Oh,
timed it
wow.
an hour with Wuthering Heights.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just when
wow.
you think they finished the trailers, they put another one or they put another advert on.
It's
Another
the
advert?
adverts that
And,
annoy me.
I'll tell you the bit. And if anyone's listening to this, I promise we'll start reviewing films and TV shows soon. but I'll tell you the bit that gets me, and I think it tells you about because I think more and more with things that have been happening. I think maybe it's just growing older or anything like that. But as I've grown older and as time has gone on, it has become more and more clear that filmmaking is a business as opposed to just something that it's like a fun thing. And I feel like it creeps in and sort of almost sort of breaks the illusion. Like the number of logos you get before a film starts. Because these films, to get the finance to make the film, they have to go to all these different companies, and it's like a co-production between sometimes 6, 7 companies, and you get all these logos that they've chugged onto the front of the film before the film actually starts. That I feel has just been getting longer and longer and longer, and it's only and the thing that really gets me is that you have all this thing, Indian Paintbrush, Relativity Media, and all these things come up before the films, and then the film starts, and then they say Indian Paintbrush presents Witness a Show Relativity, and they just tell you the same thing twice, and I feel like you can tell when a director has some cachet because you don't have that many logos at the front, or the logos are incorporated into the beginning of the film somehow. And you can tell that that's a director that's kind of gone, no, we're not doing that. I want people to start watching this film as soon as possible. But yeah, it's one of those things that you go, why the heck are there so many logos? It's because people are struggling to find money to make films. And it's, but Anyway, well, oh yeah. Netflix versus cinema. That's what we do. That's
the point of us.
That's
Which, by the by, just as a random aside, is shows up in the sort of top 3 things about me on the internet.
Really.
Oh.
Oh, I guess all that stuff that I've been pushing out onto the internet that's been attracting us. We've been talking before we pressed record.
It's been attracting my actual job. You get my actual job. You get the charity I'm a trustee of, and you get this.
And you get she's a co-host of Netflix Cinema. Thank you very much, Holly. Yes, we are one of the most important things that you do. That's what I heard. That's what I heard anyway. Okay, so we've spoken about what we saw in the cinema. That was just me with good luck, have fun, don't die. How about what we've seen at home, Sharon?
I've seen a Swedish film on Netflix called The Swedish Connection.
The Swedish Connection. I hope that, well, there is a very lazy thing they could have done with a title like that, and I'm hoping that that's not what they've done. But we'll find out when you tell us about it.
I was thinking the same thing, I suspect.
Yeah, I was like, there's a very lazy thing they could have done with that. It's
It's not a pork pie hat in sight, so you're all right.
Yeah, but I think even the title, they're luring you in. They're luring people like me and going, I want to see if they have as little imagination as I think they do. All right, cool. And Holly, how about home? What do you see?
I have seen How to Get to Heaven from Belfast and Cross Series 1.
Okay, cool. So because we've been holding How to Get to Heaven from Belfast over for a week, I say we do Swedish Connection and How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, because we only have one thing in cinema, and usually we'd only do one thing versus one thing. So, all right, cool. Let us kick off then, and I'm going to kick off with Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Now, this is a film by Gore Verbinski, who hasn't been around I think the last film he directed was a film called The Cure for Wellness, which I remember Sean watching and Sean quite liking. It was a bit weird. But I also think he's had like a weird directorial thing, because I'm pretty sure he directed the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, The Curse of the Black Pearl. I'm pretty sure that was Gore Verbinski. But it's, yes, Holly, please check that up for me. But anyway, so this is him firmly back on weirdo territory. And so what you have is that this film kicks off, and what you have is an American diner. You have an American diner, it's a night, it's filled with all sorts of different people, and then Sam Rockwell shows up looking like a cross between, like, he looks like he's been living on the streets, and he looks like while he's been living on the streets, he's also made himself some sort of weird contraption suit that has all sorts of different things in it, has a button on it, and he comes in, he informs everybody that this is not a robbery. Look, I'm from the future. I've done this 117 times already. This is my 118th time round. And yeah, I am correct. Thank you. That Gore Verbinski did direct Curse of the Black Pearl, which he's got a weird directorial thing. And so he comes up and so yeah, he says that I've done this a number of times, and he says, there is a combination of people in this diner that's going to help me stop the apocalypse that I live in. So the apocalypse that I live in is where an AI has taken over, and it gets created tonight by a boy who lives, like a 9-year-old boy who lives like somewhere in that distance. And I need a right combination. I've tried so many different combinations. I've tried this 117 times before. We fail all the time, but I think I feel good about tonight. And so obviously people think that he's crazy, and they're trying to call the cops, and they're trying to attack him or anything. But he knows everything they're going to do. He knows what they're going to do. He, like, without looking, he goes, "Put that phone down, Sheila," or whatever her name is. And so he goes, "Okay, this time we're going to go with this bit. And so you have this, so you end up with this group, this motley crew that he puts together that's made up of regular names that you've noticed. So people like Zazie Beetz and Michael Peña, and Haley Lou Richardson is in there. Asim Chowdhury, for anybody who remembers People Just Do Nothing. He plays Chabadi G. He is in there doing what I think is an American accent, but I'm not entirely sure. Whether there's times when I was like, this could be just like a British guy who's been living in America for a while. This could be, no, that's a bad American accent. No, he's actually English. There were bits where with his accent I wasn't too sure what was going on. And this film at its best, this film is like a Shaun of the Dead type caper. at its best. It's that kind of thing. Okay, we've got to get from this place to this place. This is going to be a Motley Crew. Things are going to happen as we're going along, and people are going to come along, but don't worry, we're going to get through it. And in this way, with this group of people and they make it believable that they would go with him. Oh, I forgot Juno Temple's also in it. Juno Temple's part of the Motley Crew that goes with him. And they make it believable this group of people would go with him. And at its best, it's like a Shaun of the Dead type thing. And at its worst, it's like the ending of Matrix Revolutions, where the architect shows up and starts talking, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, yeah, where you get that feeling that I'm not sure the people who are making the film are sure what is going on right now, but they're just throwing the dice and see how it goes. So this film goes between those two, like bits that I really, really enjoy, bits that are a bit weird. And as they're going across this town to try and to get to this kid, you have flashbacks that show you a little bit of like the life of some of these people. So like people like Michael Peña and Zazie Beetz are teachers who work in a school where the kids are constantly on their phones, and then something goes weird and the phones seem to start trying to control the kids. And there's like a whole thing about, phones making teenagers zombies and all that kind of stuff in there. And I guess that's supposed to be satirical or anything like that, but there's that bit in there. There's a bit to do with school shootings, and honestly, this is one of those things where my jaw just sort of hit the floor when it became apparent that what they were talking about was a school shooting in this section of the film, and the way people were reacting to it. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then when you realize why people are reacting that way to the school shooting, you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And apparently this started off the idea as a TV show, and you can kind of see how they would have had like almost like a Lost thing where each episode they'll follow one of these Motley Crew and they'll tell this story and they'll go into this different area and all that. And there are some ideas in there that I find quite funny. There are some ideas that I heard it referred to that each one of these things is almost like a mini Black Mirror episode when you go into the past of them. And I was enjoying it. But as it goes towards the end, there's a bit at the end where it kind of goes into like, a CGI maelstrom of nonsense and all that kind of, where it loses a little bit of weight. And also the conclusion of the film, without spoiling anything, the conclusion of the film, the way it ends and what it made me wonder. I was watching it going, hang on, but if what you're hinting at is the case, doesn't that mean that the entire endeavor of the film is pointless? So it's a weird one. It's a weird one that if you want me to spoil, I'm happy to let you know off air what it is. But I think it's something that is worth watching, and then I'll tell you, well, this is what they seem to be saying, and if that's what they seem to be saying, then doesn't that mean that that the whole thing's pointless? And so it's one of those things. I'm not sure whether and this is what I talk about, like, with the whole Matrix thing of when the architect shows up and starts spouting nonsense, and it makes you wonder, is there actually a point to it? You're trying. But do you know what you're saying, or you just, oh wow, but what if we do this? I don't know. That'll end the film. Yeah, let's do that. and So all in all, I mean, I would give it a 3 out of 5 because, as I said, at its best, I thought it was funny. I thought that the bouncing of Sam Rockwell bouncing off this crew with Juno Temple and Zazie Beetz and Michael Peña and Haley Richardson was great. I think that there's some of the imagery, like, because Haley Richardson, for some reason in this film, is in a princess dress. Like, imagine if you have somebody who goes to a kid's party dressed to entertain the kids as a princess. She's wearing that, but she has this, it's an image that I love. It's a princess dress, but with Doc Marten boots. and I just love that image, and there's a bit where they really sort of frame that image. I'm like, and so there's all these different things. You're like, okay, why is that happening? What's going on here? And at those bits, I really liked it, but I don't quite think it sticks the landing. And I think that the longer it goes on, because it's over 2 hours, talking about people will not be able to make films shorter than 90 minutes long anymore. The longer it goes on, the more you're like, I don't really think it's almost like you've talked yourself into a corner. You don't know how to talk yourself out of it, and by trying to talk yourself out of it, you've rendered the entire story pointless. And so, I would give it a 3 out of 5. And to answer our other question, which we ask with everything in cinemas nowadays, do I think you should watch this in the cinema, or should you wait and watch it until it comes up on streaming? I would say watch it in the cinema. I think it's quite cinematic. I think it's quite good, and I think that even for its flaws, it's a good cinematic experience. It's a good, and there will be bits where you'll be like, what the heck? And there are also some images that are nightmare fuel, especially if you're a cat lover. Nightmare fuel. Don't worry, Holly. Nothing bad happens to cats.
As if by magic, a cat appears next to me,
Yeah,
not the
not
strange one.
yeah, nothing bad happens to cats. If anything, cats are the ones doing bad things to people. So it's
Bad things
like,
people, Callie. No doing bad things.
all right, cool. So that's 3 stars out of 5 for Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Also, love the title. I really, really do love the title. Right, and now we go on to stuff that we've seen at home, and we're going to talk the Swedish Connection. So Sharon, tell us about this. Are they essentially that title accuses them straight away of lacking imagination? Is that true?
No, it's not true because it's nothing to do with, as you would think, the French Connection. I think it's just accidental that they are. I think it's purely accidental.
Yeah.
I think it's a Swedish film, so I think when it's the original title may not be that obvious.
Oh, so it's some English language marketer that's given it that title because they do want to connect. Oh yeah, oh my, okay, never mind.
It's probably that they've thought, oh, but that might spark a bit of interest.
Yeah,
but it's one of those. It's one of those stories that because it's based on a true story. One of those. So I always look up about how true is it.
yes.
And it tends to be that it is actually not far off. But anyway, it's an account of Sweden during the Second World War, which is something we don't really see a lot about because Sweden was neutral, and therefore people tend to think that if it's neutral, nothing happens. So this is showing a slice of what happened in Sweden. And the film is set in 1943, so quite well into the war. And it's set with a group of diplomats who work in the Foreign Office in Sweden. And what happens is, at the beginning of the film, they've been getting a lot of applications for asylum for Jews who have a Swedish connection.
Yeah.
And their job is he's the main focus of the film. He is the head of the legal department, and they look at all these applications to see if there's a legal basis for them to offer asylum. And nearly all of them, it's like, no, it's too tenuous. It's like, it's no. And then one day, one of their contacts, who is like in the embassy in Prague, says to them, actually, we need to do more because when people go to these labor camps, they're not labor camps. So we need to do something about this. And everyone says, no, it's not. We would know, surely, if anything bad was happening. They're like saying, no, something bad is happening. And so this acts as like a spark for this particular gentleman. I wish I could pronounce his name properly, but I don't want to risk it. If you might better say it better than me, Tosin, you're much better pronunciation than I am.
Go for it. Try it, because it's a Swedish name. So
I think his name is something like Icegeg or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's written like, in English, I would say Engzel.
Engzel, maybe it's
Engzel
that.
is Engzell. But
Yeah,
but usually I find that when people pronounce things in Swedish, it sounds different than what I would read it
when I was trying to memorize it, I was thinking, no, I'm not going to get it. So Engzel, but he is, so he's decides to see if they can find loopholes in the law, these sort of snicks where they can actually get a lot of people into Sweden by finding a Swedish connection. And they said, as he's a legal mind, he was saying, what we need to do is we need to get a really hopeless case in, and then we can set a precedent, and then because we've got that precedent, then we can make it easier for other people to get in. And so they pick really sort of random cases. Like there's one in particular, is like a set of twins that are stranded in Prague, and their only connection to Sweden is that they've got a Swedish stepfather. They're they've got no blood links to Sweden, but their stepdad is Swedish. They're saying if we can get them in, then we can get them in. So it's following the sort of the story, but it's done actually in a really quirky way. It uses modern music, not modern music, but it's sort of like quite quirky music soundtrack. And the way it's cut is cut with a lightness of touch. I think they've tried to introduce humour into a situation that there's no humour in it, using the interpersonal relationships, using like the threats of going to Russia and things like that. Would you like to become the diplomat for the Russian embassy? And things like, it's like this sort of threat that hangs over all of them. And so they've done it with a real sort of lightness of touch. So it takes a really serious subject matter and it sort of gives it that sort of lightness. And it's just basically, I would say, to describe it, it's one of those unsung hero type stories where people in a sort of, and he never actually talked about what he did during the war. He accepted it as being part of what he did.
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers, though. I think people who are
Well,
interested.
because as you were talking, I was getting the ideas of a Swedish Oscar Schindler almost.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, where he paved the way to sort of basically, without they've credited him with saving many, many lives, probably thousands of lives potentially, and by opening up loopholes in the law and doing it in such a sort of bravura way that people couldn't really stop it. And so he's like an unsung hero of who hasn't got any recognition. And he lived to be 100 years old, this gentleman, and died in sort of 1997, just after his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
And he never ever talked about his wartime work, because to him it was just like it's a job he did at the time, and he did the best that he could. And he did other things. So yeah, he's just like an unsung hero of the Second World War, a hero for Sweden to celebrate for that fact that they were neutral, but they weren't impartial always. Sometimes they, allowed their train lines to be used for things that could be suggested was helping the war effort of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
They had that much choice in the matter they had, who knows, but they were in this difficult situation. So yes, it sort of gives you a different aspect of like that classic, it's away from those classic battlefield scenes or scenes of the Holocaust or scenes of, really darkness. They've done it with a real lightness of touch, which, yeah, I thought they did it well.
Cool. So how many stars would you give it?
I would give it a 3.5.
3.5. Cool.
I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I liked the story. It made me want to look up about this gentleman, which I did. I also, if it's based on a new true story, I'm thinking, okay, let's go and find, not just Wikipedia, let's go find something, if I can find his name online, and see if there's sources that are available and what people say about it. And on the whole, it sort of is that he is this sort of quiet, unassuming man who did what he thought was the right thing to do.
I found a good website for that called History versus Hollywood.
Oh.
Yeah, history
Like
versus Hollywood, and it goes through films that are based on true stories and tells you this is the real person, this is the person in the film, this is what actually happened, and this is what they made up in the film. Kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that sort of thing. I've got a book about it called Past Imperfect, and it just talks about how people have been, have taken real events and given them a little tweak.
Oh yeah. So that is 3.5 stars for Den Svenska Lanken. Sorry, Swedish people. That's my bet. Please get in touch with us, like everybody else has been getting in touch with us online, and tell me how to pronounce Den Svenska Lanken, which actually just translates as the Swedish link. So
so they definitely have used that French Connection as a
they've used the connections of the French Connection. All right, cool. So that is 3.5 stars for that, and we have one more thing to go. But before we do that, I mean, I think we have had we've had like a bit of a bumper week of people getting in touch with us. I blame Wuthering Heights, but on our YouTube channel and on our Instagram channel, we've had people who are just coming on board and saying things. Also, we got some stuff on TikTok based on Wuthering Heights TikTok is one that I just chuck stuff up there with like minimal effort. I don't even bother writing anything about it. I just chuck it and see if anybody finds it.
I didn't know we were on TikTok.
We do have a TikTok. we do have a TikTok. Yeah, it's exactly the same stuff that shows up on YouTube. Well, the YouTube shorts and the ones on Instagram, they go on TikTok as well when I have time. All right, cool. So on here, first of all, we've had like the Day the Earth Blew Up review, and I'm thinking that there must be a lot of people who want to know about this film, and there might not be that many reviews out there because all of a sudden we're getting more traffic than we get on anything else nowadays on our full review of the Day the Earth Blew Up. And someone who's called Crispina81 came on and just said, guys, it's always been tunes, because I was talking about that at some point. I look at it and realized it says Looney Tunes and not Looney Tunes. And I was like, oh my God, I've been saying it wrong for quite a while. And he comes along and says, guys, it's always been tunes because it's merry melodies. So originally, that's what they used to call these shorts, merry melodies. I know because I always noticed that as a child and their biggest fan. Remember how it said merry melodies with the musical notes? Yes, it's Looney Tunes. So yes, Crispina, you were correct. It is tunes. I just realized that I had been saying tunes for a while, and I wrote on there that I blame Roger Rabbit because of Toontown. So because ever since then I go on there. Now let's see. Wuthering Heights, on the Wuthering Heights short that we put up, which there's about 3 or 4 Wuthering Heights shorts we put up because Holly and Sharon spoke for 24 minutes about about this film.
So a lot of content.
So yeah, so there were quite a few different things I could pull out from there. There were bits where Sharon was talking, the bits where Holly was talking. So there's one that is just titled "Wuthering Heights is full of sociopaths," because that was one of Holly's points, and which is our most watched thing on Instagram now. Holly talking about how Wuthering Heights is full, it's just full of sociopaths.
I mean, it is.
It is, and someone who's called at 10810 Gabriel says, "I know a number of men and women that fit this description."
I am sorry, whoever you are. That's not good. Meet better people. Make better friends.
Yeah, I just replied. I was like, well, I guess as we were saying, Emily Bronte was onto something. Read The Human Condition. So,
But also, make better friends.
yeah, well, they didn't say friends. They just said they know people. But it's like, okay, and also on the Wuthering Heights is full of sociopaths short, someone said, just referring to what you said, Holly, guys, just get, finally, I thought I was the only one. And
I am vindicated. I have vindicated somebody else.
Yeah, this is someone who goes by Prasants 3034. It's like, and I just told them, glad to be of service. Yeah, and okay, is Wuthering Heights meant for the big screen? That's like the question we ask for everything that we watch in the cinema. Should you watch it on cinema or should you wait and watch it until it's on streaming? And this person who's called Partly Ironic, read into that what you will, says, I would genuinely say this film is not worth watching at all.
I mean, there is some legitimacy to that.
Yeah.
I don't think we would argue.
Well, I replied saying that I think that you two are trying to be objective, but in your hearts of hearts, I think that they would agree with you.
We can look at it dispassionately, and we can look at our emotional responses, which are why.
Yeah, and while we're on that, I'm going to jump across to Instagram, and there is somebody who on Instagram said, someone called The Brandon Show. And I'm not sure whether this is just because obviously this is the internet, and of course you're not going to find people on the internet who are just trying to be, contradictory for the sake of it. I mean, this is the internet. You will never find that. But this person, The Brandon Show, just said loved the book and loved the film. Fire emoji, hands emoji, heart emoji, and I just said, well, that's definitely a singular take because you're the only person I've heard say that. So, the only person I've heard say that, but that was on the that's on the reasons Wuthering Heights does not work, which is our most liked short on Instagram. Well done, Holly. Talking about why Wuthering Heights does not work is going us more likes than we've ever had before. All right, cool. So I think that is that on for YouTube, and if there's anybody else, let's see who's also said. Yes, we were talking about, it's a short that I ended up just calling, What is Emerald Fennell Good At? Because it's where I'm talking about the fact that I think she's a marketing genius and all that. And Holly is going on about how the more you think about Saltburn, the more you don't like it. And this person, Chi-Seen Joya, says, one of the things, Chi.Seen Joya says, one of the things I hated about Saltburn was just how unreal the characters were. There was no growth or intelligence or depth to them. Just a very silly film that pretended it was going somewhere. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. One of my big problems with Saltburn is that it was sold as something that it wasn't. It was the marketing sold it as something that it wasn't. And, this finally showed up. I thought this was, okay, there's someone called Headmop. Headmop has said, Saltburn is a great anti-poor film. The poor are scheming against you, so don't even think about being nice to them.
I think that has a lot of merit.
Oh my God! Yeah, it does.
Hard to argue.
It's hard to argue against.
I don't think the poor are against anybody. I do not agree with what Saltburn is trying to say here.
No, but the idea that Saltburn does present
what it is trying to say.
Yeah, but I have this thing with films. Like if you take so each film is trying to tell you a story about, or each story is trying to tell you a story about one particular aspect of something. It's not trying to tell you something in its entirety about the whole world at any point in time. So it just happens to be a story about one instance where a poor person did have it in for the rich people. But then people go, oh my God, you're trying to say that all poor people are. I'm like, not necessarily. You're just talking about this one poor person who did, who did have it in for them. And so yeah, it's a bit like people referring to, the Materialists, the movie, the movie with what's her face, Fringe face, Dakota Johnson.
Johnson.
Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans. They're directed by Celine Song. The people have been referring to that film as poor man propaganda, which way you watch the movie, you can totally see poor man propaganda. I'm like, but it's I thought it was a bit more balanced than that, quite frankly. And yes, and I think that is it for all the comments that we've gotten. Thank you for everybody who has gotten in touch with us, everybody who's liked something of us on Instagram or YouTube. Please keep it going. Even those of you who are quite obviously racist.
Thanks for that, guys. I'm looking forward to communicating with you later.
Yes. All those of you, even those of you who looked at me and immediately called me Somalian because you've never actually seen an African face to face, so you don't know what we look like.
I mean, that's just going to amuse me for days to come. Because I look at you all the time and think Somalian. Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, totally, 100%. I mean,
you look about as Somalian as I do.
I mean, honestly, right? Look at it. Go to the Olympics. Watch out the 10,000 meters. They all look like me. So
yeah, absolutely. Like seriously, nearly like me, except my hair is probably a little bit straighter.
All right, cool. So I believe those are all the ones that we had. We will keep all the I'll say the sexist and the racist ones, we'll keep them off. We'll keep them off. But if you really want to go find that, go trolling on our YouTube channel. That's where you'll find them. Because Instagram does seem to be a nicer place. And right, and now we go into the final thing we're going to talk about, and that is going to be how to get to heaven from Belfast. So, Holly, you haven't said anything, so I'll let you take this away. Tell us about how to get to heaven from Belfast. Tell us what it's about.
I mean, one might argue that I've said plenty, just not necessarily with any particular purpose or substance. So, How to Get to Heaven from Belfast is a series by the creator of Derry Girls,
Lisa McGee.
Who is clearly just marvellous.
Yes.
The premise of it is that three friends receive an email to let them know, it's a phone call, to let them know that an old childhood friend of theirs, whom they had fallen out of touch with, has died, and inviting them over to Ireland, to Northern Ireland, for the wake. So they convene. They're three quite different characters. One has stayed close to home and is, broadly speaking, a carer to her entirely healthy mother. Another is a mother to three quite rambunctious children.
Yes.
Who were as irritating as children are capable of being.
That's Robin, played by Sinead Keenan.
Exactly. And the third is a scriptwriter for a detective show. A very successful detective show.
Sure, played by Roisin Gallagher. And the first one was Dara, played by, I'm going to try and get this, Keeling. I can't remember her last name. Keep talking.
I will check the pronunciations here.
It's either Queeling or Keeling.
Let me have a look.
Because I checked the cat. It's one of those. It's an Irish name that is written in such a way that English speakers look at that and go, what? But it's
better at the Irish. Yeah. So there's Roisin Gallagher as Saoirse. Sinead Keenan is Robin. She is a good one.
Keeling. It's, I can't remember her last name. Who plays Dara?
Yes.
Yeah. Keeling Dunn.
That one is a push even for me, and I'm not too bad with Irish names.
Yeah. Because there's a football player, there's a football goalkeeper who plays for. He keeps for Brentford. He's the Brentford's number one goalkeeper. He has a very similar first name, and each time they say it on TV, I'm like, what? Because it the way it's written, I'm like, and they sort of like rush through it, and I'm like, no, say it again, slower. I need to know how to pronounce this name. But yeah, it's like it's Keeling, or Queeling, depending on your accent. All right, cool. So anyway, them three.
So these three very different friends who have stayed in touch, but are not as close as they once were, start heading off to this little, very, very, very small town called Knock, where their friend's wake is due to be held, and they arrive in in the middle of nowhere, having had various mini crises along the way, to find themselves in not the spa hotel they had been expecting, a hotel that used to have a spa. I'm okay with that spoiler. Who is managed by the one, the only, over to you, Tosin.
Ardal O'Hanlon. Although,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
also known as Father Dougal. Yeah, that Ardal
Yes.
O'Hanlon is the manager of this hotel. And essentially, this show, if I may jump for a second, this show revels in its Irishness. It revels in the fact that, and so you have all these people come, and Ardal O'Hanlon comes up, and it's kind of like, Father Dougal left Craggy Island and decided to open up a hotel in Donegal. And everything he says, just kind of like, no human would say that. What is wrong? And there's things that happen when they're on the road in the mountains in Ireland, and the things that they come across and everything like that. There's a bit with Jesus Christ, which is just kind of like, it is just, yeah. Holly's just done chef's kiss for for the bit with Jesus Christ. Honestly, there's a bit with a cow. There's anyway. Sorry, Holly, carry on.
Full of touches of delight. And they realise that something very strange has happened, and they are not sure what has happened to their friend, or former school friend. And one sees flashbacks and things to their childhood, and or teen years,
Yeah.
and you know that there was a thing.
Yes.
And you are not initially quite sure what the thing is or was.
Yeah.
And lo, off we go into a 10 episode, or is it 8 episodes?
It's 8 episodes, yeah.
An 8 episode caper that is a mixture of extreme comedy, a bit of thrilliness, a lot of mysteryness, and a great deal of fun, populated by members of the cast of Derry Girls.
Yes.
And there are some fabulous videos out there that will run through each character and show you who they were in Derry Girls. And it is, they're all over the place, and they are as marvellous in this as they were in Derry Girls.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Derry Girls thing is quite obvious, and it's the fact that I think the show itself, there is one huge, massive meta moment, massively meta Derry Girls moment where you're like, oh, for goodness sake, come on. That I think if it was a show that had less charm and less wit about it, it would be annoying and it would be cloying and it would be stupid as hell. But because this show has so much charm about it, they get away with it. They get away with it. But it is so. I mean, I can't say much more than that, because saying much more than that would just get into spoilers, because you have to start talking about what this moment is. But there's a massively meta Derry Girls moment. But the whole show, it is really, and I said this even while we started watching it, that it's like watching the Derry Girls. Is like, because there's 4 Derry Girls, obviously there's 4 friends, and it's like watching the Derry Girls, but like maybe 30 years on from when they were in Derry Girls. So imagine that was in the 90s. Imagine that 30 years have passed, they've grown up, and this is their lives now. And you can actually you can point to almost every member of this. You can point to Robin, or you can point to Dara, you can point to Saoirse, and you can be like, okay, that's the one, that's who they were in Derry Girls. That's who they were in Derry Girls. That's who they were in Derry Girls. And this is just them grown up. And it's kind of like Lisa McGee has gone, okay, what happens if they grow up 30 years time and then we shove them into a crime story? What will happen? And I'm here for it. I'm kind of like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens. Next thing Lisa McGee writes, okay, what happens if we throw the Derry Girls into a Korean drama? Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I mean,
I'll just say, as a brief important cast mention for anyone else who is as sad as I am at the departure of the Wheel of Time, Lanfear is in this and plays Greta.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I was wondering where she came from, because I was like, she looks familiar. She has the kind of face that looks like I should know her.
You know her. She's Lanfear.
Well, I think I never watched Wheel of Time, but she has the kind of face that looks like I should know her. She has the kind of face that you look at and go like, she looks like she should be a star. She kind of like, and it's like, yeah. But anyway, but I think the whole thing
on stage the other week, which is a complete deviation from the Wheel of Time.
Okay, all right. But the thing is, I think the whole thing of How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, the whole show, it feels like, do you remember that episode of Derry Girls where they go back in time to show their parents when the parents were kids?
Yeah.
And it feels like that episode of Derry Girls has been turned into its own show. even down to the tattoos thing. There's like tattoos play a big part of this, and tattoos played a big part of that episode. Even down to that, it feels like that episode was almost kind of like when she wrote it, she was like, I wonder if, and she's taken that and has turned it into things. Having said that, I do think it's too long. I think that maybe if it had been 6 episodes, it would have been better. I think 8 episodes is a bit stretching it, because the thing I love about this show is when the 3 of them, because it's mostly Robin, Dara, and Saoirse, when they're together and they are bickering. It is glorious. There is, I remember watching the first episode and being a bit scared, because the first episode is just chock a block of laugh out line after laugh out loud line. And I was just kind of thinking, they cannot keep this up for 8 episodes. They cannot keep this pace up for 8 episodes, because this is awesome. And I don't think that they do keep it up for 8 episodes, because at some point the plot has to come in. The plot I am not as interested in, and I feel like there are some holes. There are some holes I have real serious questions about in the thriller plot and everything like that. There's one to do with the name Gay Harton, and I was like, wait, but how no, wait a second. You can't just brush that on the carpet. Come back here. We need to talk about this Gay Harton thing. That doesn't make sense. And Holly, maybe we can argue about it and you can tell why it makes sense. It does a similar thing to Derry Girls, where it has 90s needle drops all over the place. It just keeps playing 90s music. I feel like it's a bit too much in this show than it is in Derry Girls. Some of them are like, yes. Other ones I'm like, you just played a 90s needle drop like 30 seconds ago. Stop. No need to play another one. And it's, yeah, but all in all, I thought this show was great. I thought this show was good. Even with my reservations of it being too long and all that kind of stuff, and the mystery plot thing, I think is a bit contrived. But I love, and one of the things I love, how Irish it is. I love how unapologetically Irish it is. I love how the fact that there's just things that you go, I haven't seen anything like this. No, this isn't English TV. This is definitely Irish. Another little bugbear. It did make me start Googling how. It did make me start Googling the distance between places in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland are, because people do seem to get from place to place too quickly.
Very close and very short distance.
No, I looked it up. It's like 2 hours. It's like Dublin is about 2 hours from Belfast, and I but even with that, I'm like, that seemed a little bit close. So like zooming around the islands, so like it seems a bit too close. It seems a bit too quick. But yeah, apart from that, I thought it was great. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
And I'm going to go a 4.25 out of 5.
4.25 out of 5. For How to Get to Heaven from Belfast. And it does end in a way that it could be continued.
But also doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. As I said, I would love it if Lisa McGee just decided, I'm going to take the Derry Girls and age them up, age them down, whatever, but just put them into a different situation. Because I really feel like this is like Derry Girls in a murder mystery. Kind of like...
Yeah, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Derry Girls go to Treasure Island.
There is a bit of this that's like Derry Girls on holiday.
Yeah.
There is a bit of it that is like Derry Girls on holiday.
Famous 5 reboot we never knew we needed.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think that the cast. Roisin Gallagher is somebody. Well, I think Sinead Keenan is the first time I've seen her be. It's the first time I've seen her be comedic in something, and she's quite good at it. Like, because her character is quite highly strung. There's a bit with her husband and waking up her husband in bed. The way she does it, it's hilarious. Roisin Gallagher is one of those people who I'm looking at and going, she's good. I need to find out more what she looks. The fact that she looked the first time I saw her, and I still do think that I'm waiting for the show where she and Suran Jones play sisters. Because I think that Roisin Gallagher and Suran Jones they look similar. They look similar from a distance. They're a bit like when we did an AI picture of Sharon. They look like, one of them is the AI, one of them is the real deal, one of them is the AI picture of the thing. Kind of like them, but no, anyway. Anyway, so just to ask, who do you think has won this week? Netflix or cinema?
Netflix.
Yeah, anyway we cut it. Whether we take an average, whether we take one of the things up against the thing that cinema Netflix has got it this week. But it has been good. It has been good. So until next week, when God knows what will be out there. I think I say this every week, but hopefully one of those things that we said earlier, Cold Storage will still be in cinema. All these other films, hopefully one of them, some of them will still be out there. We'll get to watch it. I think we'll have Sharon back next week. So
It's back on the 5th.
On the 5th. That is.
Yeah, we're going to be Sinners, but that's
because they're doing this. They're doing the Oscar season back, where they're bringing films back that have been nominated for. Yeah, they're doing that in the Omniplex as well. An Irish cinema. We don't just throw this together. We actually do. So yeah, we'll see one of those. But until that time, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
A goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us. Leave us something on Facebook, or no, not Facebook, on YouTube or Instagram. Please, try not to be racist or sexist. Thank you very much.